Asterisk the night had stretched on far longer than Mara Lewis wished, and every minute felt heavier than the one before it. The convenience store, a tiny place tucked off the highway, had been quiet for hours. The soft hum of the coolers had become background music she barely noticed anymore. The faint smell of old coffee clung to the air like a stubborn memory. The sun outside had slipped low, washing the world in pale amber that made the empty parking lot look peaceful. Asterisk. Mara was tired, bone-tired, but relieved she was only minutes from closing. She wiped the counter with slow, practiced motions, her mind already drifting home to her mother, waiting in their small apartment. Another long shift, but at least it was ending. Asterisk, just as she reached for the key to close the register. The bell above the door chimed. 3 men walked in. The moment she saw them, something inside her tightened. It wasn't their clothes or their swagger, it was their eyes. Cold, sharp, studying her like she was something they owned. The tallest one in front smirked, his heavy boots thudding against the tiles. Asterisk. We're not here to buy, he said. And the grin that followed made her stomach twist. Asterisk, his friends snickered behind him, shadows long and jagged on the floor. Mara glanced at the clock. 10 minutes past closing. Her pulse jumped. She was alone, or she thought she was. Asterisk, she tried to keep her voice steady as she told them the store was closed. The man with the leather jacket, Kyle, his name tag said, mocked her words, repeating them with an exaggerated pout. One of his friends leaned casually on the counter as if browsing candy bars. The other drifted into the side aisle, deliberately blocking her exit. Asterisk, the air grew heavier, almost suffocating. Mara felt it in her chest, a weight that made breathing harder. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. You never know who walks into your life. Some to hurt you, some to save you. Asterisk, Kyle stepped closer. Too close. She smelled the alcohol on his breath before she heard his low chuckle. He tilted his head, pretending concern. Asterisk. What's wrong, sweetheart? Nervous? Asterisk, when she didn't answer, he reached out and grabbed the front of her red shirt, yanking her forward. The collar tore with a sharp rip that echoed in her bones. She gasped and stumbled, trying to pull away. But his grip tightened. Asterisk, his friends burst into laughter, loud, mocking. Cruel. Asterisk, looks like we found our entertainment tonight. One sneered. Asterisk, tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She needed to think, to do something, anything. But fear held her still, freezing her thoughts, locking her voice inside her throat. Asterisk. Then a sound whispered through the store, soft, but unmistakable. A thud, a step, another. The men turned sharply. Asterisk, Mora's eyes followed theirs. 3 shadows emerged slowly from between the aisles. They moved with calm, controlled certainty. Heavy boots echoed against the clean tile floor. The laughter stopped. The first man stepped into the light. He was tall, rugged, somewhere in his late 40s. A thick salt and pepper beard framed a face hardened by life. Tattoos crawled down both his arms like stories etched in ink. His black leather vest bore the unmistakable emblem of the Hells Angels. A patch on his chest read simply, RL*. Behind him came 2 more. One bald, with a long dark beard and a gaze that could cut glass. The other, younger, with shoulder-length hair and sunglasses pushed up on his head. His expression unreadable, but ready. Asterisk, they stopped only a few steps from the 3 troublemakers. Silence spread like a thick curtain. Asterisk, RL's eyes dropped to Kyle's hand, still fisted in Mara's torn shirt. His voice came quiet, but carrying a weight that filled the room. Asterisk, you might want to let go of that. Asterisk, Kyle tried to laugh, but the sound came thin. What's it to you, old man? Asterisk, RL didn't answer. He stepped forward, one slow, steady, deliberate. The air shifted around him, heavy with authority. Kyle hesitated. His fingers loosened. He finally released Mara's shirt and took a quick step back. Asterisk, you boys had your fun, RL said, voice low but sharp enough to cut. Now walk out. Calmly. Asterisk, Kyle spat on the floor, trying to recover his pride. Think you can scare us? He barked, but his voice cracked at the edges. Asterisk, the younger biker behind RL, cracked his knuckles, rolling his shoulders. The bald one smirked faintly, as if he had seen this play out 100 times. RL's gaze didn't budge from Kyle. No, he said simply. I know I can. What followed wasn't a fight. It was over too fast to call it one. Kyle lunged, but RL caught his arm mid-swing. One twist, one step, one thud. Kyle hit the floor, groaning in shock. Asterisk, the second man, charged. But the bald biker intercepted him with brutal efficiency, slamming him into the counter so hard, the shelves rattled. Asterisk, the third, froze completely. Hands up, eyes wide. He backed toward the door until he bumped it, jolted, and fled. The bell chimed wildly as he ran into the night. The other two stumbled after him in a panic, shouting curses no one cared to hear. Then the store fell silent. Mara stood trembling behind the counter, clutching the torn fabric of her shirt. Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear anything else. RL turned toward her. And just like that, his expression softened. Asterisk, you okay, miss? He asked gently. Asterisk, she nodded, though her voice wouldn't come at first. When it did, it cracked. Asterisk, thank you. Asterisk. He gave a small nod. Keep your lights on a little longer tonight. You're never as alone as you think. Asterisk, with that, he turned, and the three bikers walked toward the door. Their reflections glimmered in the glass as they stepped back into the fading sunlight. Asterisk Mara stayed where she was, breathing slowly, letting the adrenaline drain out of her limbs. Tears slid down her cheeks, not from fear anymore, but from relief so profound it made her knees weak. Asterisk, outside, the motorcycles roared to life. The engines rumbled like distant thunder before fading into the horizon. Asterisk, for the first time that night, she felt safe. Really safe. Asterisk, she realized then that heroes don't always come dressed in uniforms or with shining capes. Sometimes they wear leather, carry stories on their skin, and step in without hesitation when someone needs saving. Sometimes kindness comes from the most unexpected souls rough around the edges, unpolished but fiercely protective. Asterisk, in that night, when she had been moments from breaking, kindness walked in, wearing tattoos, steel-toed boots, and the quiet courage of men who refused to look away. Asterisk,